you today. As I mentioned, Anna is our producer, and today we have Catherine and Jennifer at the zoo. We're all directors of Friends of Hyde Park Zoo. So for those who don't know, the zoo did open today. Today is the first day of reopening, and there are slightly different hours. It is now 11 to 7. This is the COVID hours the city has set, because it allows the zookeepers to go early in the morning and get the animals fed so they don't have to interact with the public too much. So anyway, I am now actually going to pass it over to Catherine and Jennifer at the zoo, and they're going to introduce you to some of our locals. So Catherine, over to you.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. I'm here with Jennifer. We are, as Sarah mentioned, directors on the board of Hyde Park Zoo, and we're standing in for the usual Zooviews on the ground correspondence today. Without any further ado, I'm going to flip my camera around so you can see the animals of the hour, who we've lured to the fence with some food pellets. These are our very famous llama, who all have different names and different personalities, very distinct, but don't ask me to tell them to you. We tried very hard to get it memorized, but some like to play, some like to roll around in the hay, some like to hide or open latches with their little noses, some are gentle and easygoing, and the people who know them well, such as zookeepers and Jacky, who you're about to hear from, can identify them in a split second and know exactly what they're thinking and what they're going to do. So the one thing I will say that I've learned about them today is that the rumors of their spitting are greatly exaggerated. They generally do not spit on people, maybe on each other. And they're quite comical and entertaining, and we've been having a lot of fun hanging out with them this morning.
We have, yes. No spitting.
No spitting so far, yeah, which is the good news.
Just a lot of eating.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Catherine and Jennifer, for being at the zoo. And, you know, it's always lovely to interact with the animals. And I know from what we heard from the zookeepers, the animals have really, really missed watching the people. So when you have a chance, please come down and visit the zoo. All right, now I would like to introduce you to Jacky Sawatzky, who is going to talk to us about llama vocalization. She will share her recordings and her research into when and why llamas vocalize. So Jacky, for those who don't know Jacky, Jacky is a dear friend of ours. We often would see her down at the zoo, sitting, looking, talking, and watching the llamas. She is a PhD candidate at University of Toronto. Her research, How Are You to Listen to You? Llamas. She investigates the behaviors of llamas through the approach of the animal's behavior, science, and performance studies. Right now, Jacky is actually working at the Serendipity Alpaca and Llama Sanctuary. She's been there since March of 2020. This is also the sanctuary where 5 of what we call our Hyde Park 5 moved to a couple of years ago. So as I mentioned, now she's at the sanctuary. She says that she is now a master poo shoveler. So I know the zookeepers can appreciate that. And as I mentioned, Jacky spent many hours at Hyde Park Zoo watching the animals. She's actually had some other interaction with them as well. This included 2 musicians who came to play for the llamas. We had someone playing a viola and a clarinet. And at one point, we had an impromptu visit from a juggler. So in a few minutes of juggling, clubs and balls and an audience of llamas, children and adults had gathered. And Jacky was watching how the animals interacted. Jacky's also been writing for us, Friends of Hyde Park Zoo, a blog called Llama Drama, and you can find it on our website. So Jacky, I'm going to hand over to you, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you tell us about our amazing llamas. So over to you.
I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and then we just do Okay, 1 minute. There we go. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I hope everybody can see this. And
We
so
can't
first
see
of all,
too much yet, Jackie. Sorry to interrupt. We can just see a bit of your screen, but it's not actually a presentation or anything yet.
oh, that's odd. You don't see there's more of my power poems.
No, we don't.
Oh, okay. We have to go back. Start screen share, and then what I'm going to do is see if I can do that again. I'm going to just do this. I'm going to and there it is. Maybe I should do it like this.
Okay, now it says you're starting to share.
Okay. And this is better.
Yes, there we go.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, now.
Okay.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yay. So it's technology is technology. So thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And it's just a real privilege to be able to share my research on llama vocalization. So it's very much in the early beginnings, my research. I will be officially starting in a few months, but I've of course been, while I'm shoveling poo, I have been collecting observations and collecting recordings, and in the year time, I have learned a lot. We're going to take you on a journey of stories, some vocalizations, and we're going to listen and hear and meet the llamas. And the first llama we have here is Salsa. And she's one of the Hardpack 5, and she's a big grunter. So and we'll hear some more of her grunts. The way I came to llama vocalization was when the Hardpack 5 moved to Serendipity Farm. They actually, the first night they were in their llama house, they had their own little house, and they were humming the whole night. You could hear them very gently humming to each other. And I thought, wow, this is so special. As if they were creating a herd, they were touching base, they were comforting each other. Of course, I heard llamas hum before, and you can especially hear Jet hum when she sees the keepers coming with food. So listen for that. But there was much more to these hums, and that got my curiosity. And then Elizabeth, the farmer, mentioned this, and she said, wow, you know, the Hardpack 5 have a different song than our llamas. So this brought up so many questions as, do herds have their own song? What kind of vocalization do the llamas make? And are there more? Is there more to a hum? So my research was really focusing on humming. And now I'm gonna go to what kind of vocalizations do llamas make. Now there's a squeal, a grunt, a snort, a spit. And spit is, although an action, it also makes a sound. And it's actually quite funny because you can stand somewhere and you think, oh no, there's a fight going on in the barn. And mostly if it's the llamas that are fighting, it's mostly Lady Pepper that is at it because she's pregnant. Then there's the alarm call, a cluck, and a hum. So we're gonna listen to, and maybe put your sound quite loud. We're gonna listen to some humming. and try to see which kind of sound you recognize. I'm going to stop it a bit. But what we could hear here is a lot of different sounds. There was a squeal, there was a grunt, there was a snort, a spit, an alarm call. And what you heard, the alarm call, was actually Dusty. And alarm calls are quite interesting, and I'll let you hear. I'm going to show you an alarm call that is by Centaury, so you have a better idea what an alarm call is. So the interesting part of an alarm call is that they don't always respond to an alarm call. It's a very, like this was, the last one was Centaury. He's a young male. He was at that time less than 3 years old. He had just joined the big boys and no one was responding to his alarm call. The same one that you heard in the other soundbite was the alarm call by Dusty. And Dusty, although she's a matriarch of the trekking team. She's not the matriarch of the guarding team. She doesn't have a lot of clout when it comes to guarding, and she would make an alarm call when she sees a rabbit, a deer. So it was a lid, so it's really clear. She made an alarm call there, and I think she probably saw a deer in the fields. So normally alarm call is used if it's alarm calls put out. The lady llamas will run to the llama that made the alarm call, and they would form a wall. And mostly it's a coyote in the field, on the other side of the fence, and they would protect the alpacas. So the next sound I want to touch on is clucking, because that one wasn't in the video. Now, clucking is a very interesting sound, and clucking is used as a kind of endearing, also I call it cat calling. The lady llamas love, and we'll see here Trussie clucking in a moment, they love clucking to serendipity, the male on the hill. They'll snort, put their tail up, and cluck. And it is, hey, you, dance for us. And serendipity used to, and I'm going to explain why I'm saying used to, snorts, squat back, put his tail up, and dance on the rocks. Now, why it's used to, Serendipity's gelded. He was gelded 2 months ago, and the next, he will be joined by Centaury in a few weeks, so he will be the one who's doing the dancing. But clucking is also used as an endearing. A mother would cluck to her cria, or even cats will cluck across the field when she sees her son, Centaury. Now, we don't know if she actually recognizes her son, but her clucking is slightly different. It's not the snort, it's not the tail going up, and she doesn't show the side profile. She just walks up and has a front profile when she sees Centaury. She only does it when she sees Centaury, and only does it when she's alone. And Centaury is goofing up a bit. He's goofy. He's a goofy llama. So here we have the clock. So we're just back from a walk and we're packed. So there's the clock. So what happens is interesting here. Tressie, that's Tressie's game. She loves clocking. That's it. And it's quite funny now. She'll run to the fence and start clocking. And she's a little like, almost looking like, what's the matter with him? He's not dancing for us. So they are confused that he is behaving slightly differently. What we also see is that Salsa did something which is a no-no. You don't sniff another llama's butt. And she got spat at. But Tressie didn't turn her head towards Salsa. She just did a warning spit. So the spit that Tressie did there was a very gentle spit. It was more a spit that said, back off. If you have a real deep spit, that comes out of the third stomach, and you'll hear it sounds differently, and then it's aimed at a llama or an alpaca. And you'll see the louder llama walking around with a clump of green ew. As it comes out of their third stomach, it stinks, it's acidic, and they would have, mostly it's inside of their neck, and you could see, oops, you got spat at. So with this spit that Tressie just did was a very like, back off. I don't agree with this, stay away. And Salsa honored that. She got a little butt sniff there. And then she got more interested in Sip. So what we're going to see now is another form of clucking. And this is actually a fascinating moment. About 3 months ago, a message to the farm, a sanctuary, that people had a guard llama for sheep, and that's they mostly used for that, who started attacking their sheep. And we asked for more information. It was very clear that Tiny's her name, missed being with llamas. She was bored silly. So we offered a career change and told them that she can come here and she will slowly be part of the trekking team. And this is the moment Tiny meets the herd. So she's just come off the trailer. She runs down, and the herd she was only separated for less than 15 hours one night before she joined them.
She knows what to do.
She does.
Let everybody sniff you.
So you could hear the clucking. She would cluck very gently, and she also would snort. And her snort would be like, her snort is a moment where she says, "Hey." Okay. So I'm hoping, I actually can't see any messages here. So I don't see my chat. So if just interrupt me if there's something coming in the chat, if somebody wants to get some clarification. So now I'm going to go over to the vocalized humming. The story of Annie and Katja. They're alpacas, though. They're not llamas, but they make similar vocalization through sound. Now, this is actually a sad story, but I was there and I was recording their sounds, and I'll start with the sound of Annie pre-birth, an hour before she gave birth. So the interesting is, you check on them at 6:30, to sort of know when they're going to approximately birth. There's and 6, still at 7. I'm just going to go and get myself a cup of coffee. And of course, she gives birth. Right in that 20 minutes, I got a cup of coffee. But this is an hour pre-birth. So we notice a few things here. They're short, just kind of a moaning. Short hums. It's about her expressing herself. There's also a silence in the barn. There's no response of the other alpacas. The llamas and alpacas are mixed, but they do behave like two separate herds. And there's 16 alpaca ladies, and there's 12 alpaca llamas, lady llamas here. So the rest of the alpacas, as if they're quiet, they know what's going on. And then the next hum is a completely different hum. Katja has been born. She's a day old, and Katja is crushed in the field. Annie's with her, and the herd is around her. So the herd supports the Kriya. They hum to her, and they expect that Annie and Katja move with them to the back field and to the front field. The fields are quite extensive here. They have about 10 acres. So it is expected that they move with them. So, but Katja is very interested in watching us. She's watching us. And she's just sitting there. And Annie is getting impatient. And She expresses that through her hums. So as you can hear, these hums are longer. There's more fluctuation in there. And they're clearly meant, there's no other alpaca and llama around, and they're meant for Katja. Katja would, they're not like sheep that Katja will respond constantly. Katja would just have a short little hum occasionally. But it's very short and very faint. And then Katja dies. We don't know what happened, but she likely got a kick, an accidental kick in her head. She was already at that point 2 weeks old. And Elizabeth, the farmer referred to a stillborn cria they had a few years before. Like Coquette had a stillborn. And she said you should listen to her humming. And this is what I call, I've never heard this hum other than in this situation. I call it the grieving hum. So that is, the last is the grieving hum. And this actually the story of Annie and Katja really made me focus on humming and what this could mean, these hums. And as you also hear in that sound clip, you hear the herd responding. The herd has a song around. And this went on for a few days, and then slowly it ebbed away. Okay, so another big hummer is Angelique. And Angelique I'm calling this Let's Go. And Salsa and Angelique are big sunbathers. Salsa would fall asleep, and Angelique too, and somewhere in the field, and the herd has moved on. Angelique gets up, sees this, and starts humming, very similar what Katja did to, Annie did to Katja. An impatience, and she kept humming until Salsa got up, woke up, got up, and started moving. Of course, I didn't have my recording equipment on me, neither my phone. But this is a similar situation. They're in the llama house. They just got hay, but there's actually a fresh hay bale down in the field. Angelique, Salsa and Dusty are eating. Angelique wants them to go down, which she managed to do. So after 5 minutes of humming, this is a section of it. So as you can hear, she stretches it out. There's intonation in her voice. So I call this the Let's Go hum. And then there's also the little hum of I'm here, I'm here. It's a way of connecting to the herd. And especially Chili started doing that when she became 1 year of age. So as if she was connecting to the herd. This is Chili while she's trekking, and she'd do it especially while she was walking. It's very faint, very soft. Okay, so before I run out of time, I think I'm almost there. I want to just give you two individuals, and you can see the difference in voice. Becky. That's Becky's hum. It's that's almost like a horse hum. She has but she also, this is her humming. When she was living at another farm before this, she had lost to Crias. And she was starting to do this when the other llamas were giving birth. And then this is serendipity, calling the girls. That's serendipity. Okay, so wrapping this up, I think we're there. Oops, 1 minute, the last one. I want to share this because, so what are you going to do with our vocalization? I do, of course, research in why collecting data on why, when they hum, the different kind of hums. But I'm also commissioning Wendelin Bartley, electroacoustic composer who specializes in using voice, human voice, to compose an 8-minute piece using llama voice. We will be playing that back, first of all, to the llamas here at Serendipity Farm, but there's of course also wanting to play them back once COVID restrictions are not more are lifted and if things are relaxing a bit more. We're going to play them back to the llamas at High Park Zoo. And the question is, do they like music composed with their own vocalization, or do they care less? Okay, thank you. And we see in this picture, the High Park 5 are here. It's Dusty, Angelique, Salsa, Chili, Pepper. In front, we have Trussie, Specky, and Coquette. I'm going to stop sharing. So
thank you, Jackie. That was it was lovely to see the High Park 5, and it was lovely to be introduced to some of the llamas we're not familiar with. So really appreciate that. Let me come back here. Here we go. So thank you for joining us, and I know you're there. I know that they must be having, enjoying having you with them at Serendipity because you are working while you're listening. But we do look forward to having you back at the zoo, and you will see maybe a change in our llamas because they've grown up. They're in a maybe different dynamic now. They're in a new enclosure right now, and they will be going back to their old enclosure, hopefully by middle of July.
In a month.
Is ready. We're hoping. Keep fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So yeah. As I mentioned earlier, if you've missed any of our Zooviews, please look at our YouTube channel. Our next Zooview, we've got a little bit of a quiet time because it's summertime. Our next one will be on July 17th, and it's going to be with Dr. Peter Hansen, and it's going to be about yaks. So you'll learn more about our yaks. And now I think we are, if we possible, just go back to the zoo for a few minutes. I think if Catherine and Jennifer are able to take us back to the zoo.
Yes, just trying to enable my video because
and you met geese.
Yeah, well, we've been start my video. We've been saving this action shot for you guys. Oh, here they come. The shaking of the food bucket has brought the llamas running, and we wanted to make sure you didn't miss that. Very important. And thank you, Sarah, for reminding everybody about the llama pen reopening, which is sort of in the background. Maybe you can kind of see. But thanks everybody for joining, and goodbye from Jennifer and me and Luna and Lima and Chiquita and Stardust and Jet and Jazz
and Honey.
And Honey, of course. And there's one more with a T.
Tango.
Tango. Thank you.
You ladies are brilliant. You know them very well now.
Okay, have a good day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, Catherine and Jennifer, and thank you everybody for joining us. Oh, are we just going to play this little bit of music for us? Do we have this? We can see it, but we can't hear it. So this was from the concert that Jackie arranged for the llamas, and it was interesting to watch their reaction. Let's see what we can see. So what we found, because I was actually there, it's depended on the music they played. There were certain tempos when the llamas really, as you can see, didn't really care. They continued to eat. And then there were some other tempos where it sort of, they perked their ears up and they turned around and they looked. And even one of the younger ones, I can't remember who it was, actually came over to see who these people making a noise was. And once one came over, Several came over because they like to stay in a herd. So anyway, thank you everyone for joining us today. Please come and visit us at the zoo. Come and see where we are at with the llama capybara building. And hope to see you again on July 17th. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Thank you.